Hello everyone, RegiTime here, and I'm joined by Will, who is much better than me at poker, and he's kindly recorded some hands for us to look at today. Was it 100-0? Yeah, 100-0, Will, yeah?
Russian cash.
On GG, 100-0 Russian cash. So he's got some hands to look at. He's threatened to pull a solver up as well, which I'll try not to fall asleep through, and hopefully I'll have something worth saying, but it's unlikely. I think the solver bit will be much more Will showing me how they work and me kind of feigning interest in it. But
it's only because you requested it, mate.
Yeah, I did. I'm all about the solvers, me.
You're a big solver man, aren't you? So.
Yeah, but what it is like I pretend not to be. So then when I play like incredibly GTO-proof ranges, people just think, "Oh, fat Nate mashing buttons." But really, exactly. I'm clinical. I'm absolutely clinical. My precision, I'm like a fucking sniper. I'm just absolute precision. Fire one shot and just get the cunts every time. But let's go and see how much of a cunt I can make myself talking to you, who's better than me, playing in games that I'm not good enough to beat. So let's just see how much of a dick. Go on, mate,
I do some dumb stuff in this video, so don't worry about that. So yeah, nothing really to write home about here yet.
Now, first of all, this 3-bet thing on GG, that's not actually a 3-bet, is it?
It is. What, his 3-bet start?
Yes.
Did I look at it?
You did look at it, and it just isn't. I had this debate on my Facebook group and in a few other places, but like there's so many people who've got like 3-bet. There's one guy who, when I was playing on Russian cash, and his stats were something ridiculous over a huge. It was called Peer JTE or something from fucking Holland, and he played all day every day, just like rake racing or what have you. And his stats were something absurd, like 11/7. But then his 3-bet was like 33% over like a fucking huge sample every day. So I was like, this can't be fucking right. You cannot possibly have a 3-bet stat of 33% or whatever the fuck it was with like his stats. And people were like, yeah, you can. And there's some absolute fucking idiots on Facebook making some of the shittest arguments I've ever seen for how it's possible, which it just fucking isn't. And if you ever hovered over it, it actually says raise 3-bet. So I think that's a mistake. I think that's a glitch in their stats. And I actually think that is their like 4-bet percentage, not their 3-bet percentage.
You think so?
I do. I genuinely think that. I mean, look at this guy. He's like 17-14 with a 13% 3-bet. It's just not a fucking thing. And like the guy I saw with the like 11/6 with a 30% 3-bet. And there's so many people in those games that have got like 3-bets of like anything from fucking 11% through to 33%. But then when I looked at my Holder manager and looked at the pool stats average 3-bet was 7%. But you rarely saw a person with a 3-bet of lower than 7%. So I think the stats fucking nonsense. I'd like you to, like, next few times you play, just check and tell me what you think. Because I actually think it's wrong. Because when you hover over it, it says raise 3-bet. It doesn't say 3-bet. It says raise 3-bet, which to my eyes is a 4-bet. Yeah. And that makes far much more sense when you've got a guy playing 11/6 who's 3-betting 33%. No, he's not. But obviously he's going to do a lot of 4-betting because they're not opening very much in the first place.
Yeah. Well, I don't play on here much. I just do it for like for the videos like this or to just get hands in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely something to think about because obviously I've just been thinking it's because it says 3-bet. It's just the 3-bet start.
I don't. You'll see a lot of the nits in there that have like absurdly high 3-bets that are actually higher than their PFR, and how a 3-bet percentage can be higher than the PFR is. I just don't fucking know. I mean, maybe it's possible. But there was a big long thread on Facebook, and there's a lot of fucking morons in there making some bizarrely shit arguments. And then when they were explained to them how their argument couldn't possibly be true, they would then just just be dismissive and arrogant and cocky. And I was quite enjoying it because it's my group. I couldn't be anywhere near as much of a cunt as I wanted to be. But anyways, let's crack on with the hand anyway. So we've been 3-bet by a nit on our under the gun raise.
Not massively happy about it.
No, I imagine it's a standard caller, isn't it?
Yeah. And the thing about this board, it was focused on the left first, because obviously on the right something's happening as well. He can have his like ace kings, ace queens that'll barrel on this board.
Should they be though? Well, his range is pretty strong, raising out the small blind from under the gun.
Yeah, I think it's fine because versus like a under the gun flatting range versus 3-bet, like. You might have some pocket pairs, but I personally will probably fold the lower ones. So like the kind of in terms of like who's got the better range, like it'll be the small blind, I'd guess. Whereas if you're like doing just an open raise and a call on the big blind, then this is the sort of board that the big blind really good for, which I've got a hand that later that'll show that kind of.
Yeah, this is where I'm maybe a moron because I agree he's got like all the premium pairs we don't have, but I mean if he's 3-betting remotely appropriately, that board's going to have missed him a lot of the time. I mean, I assume that'd be a board, or I assumed I could very well be wrong, and you just said maybe I am, but I'd assume that's a board that players are going to want to check a lot with like most of the range, like deuce 5-3.
Yeah, they might still want to check, but like in terms of like who has the better hands, like I just kind of think like the overpairs have a big say, really.
Yeah, of course they do, but we have an awful. We probably call all our pocket pairs at this point. So I think we have more pairs than he does.
Yeah. I mean, and to be fair, like we might not always 4-bet aces, kings. That is a flat sometimes as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that like you want to be c-betting this at a particularly high frequency, given that like of course you're going to have like the probably the jacks, queens, kings, aces, maybe tens, but you're going to have an awful lot of just suited broadways, ace king, ace queen, etc. Which I guess have still got some equity, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like a spot where you want to be c-betting at a high frequency, and I see a lot of players doing it, especially in the games I play. People just like c-bet, 3-bet, ace king with like relentlessly, and it's like, what are you doing? Because then you just got to shut down on so many turns, or just punt it off. I watch quite a lot of like cash game streamers, and there's so much checking out of position when you're the pre-flop raiser. Even 3-bet pots, there's just so much of it that when I see a c-bet, or I see people with like relatively high c-bet frequencies out of position, the best I can tag them as is like bad reg at best, because so many good players now are just checking range out of position, and then if it checks through, just like using big sizes, turning river.
I mainly do that, but there are some like boards where I won't. I think namely like ace high dry boards. And I'm thinking maybe a few more I should maybe start betting, but I need to kind of think about that, because obviously you don't want to like I want to know what I'm doing first before I make that change.
Yeah. I think it's quite a nice simplification though, because most hands when you're out of position, you just don't want to be. You just don't have enough. We just don't have enough hand often enough to want to just start like c-betting and barreling off. So I think it's a pretty nice simplification to just check everything and just find some more check raises. But maybe you can't get away with that in tougher games. You can certainly get away with it in the games I play.
Yeah. Right. Should we look at the right then?
Yes.
Because obviously a hand. So I open queen 3 suited on the button. Turn. What are your thoughts on this sizing?
He check call flop, I guess.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably go quite big on this turn. I wouldn't have gone over bet, but I'd certainly go big. We can get value from Jack X, 6X, flush draws, etc. They're not going to fold probably to a second barrel. I think over bet maybe gets too many folds.
But it's kind of like, I mean, I know like balance isn't everything, but it's just kind of like there's plenty of hands that we can do this for bluffs as well. Like, if you know what I mean, like, because this card shouldn't really connect with this guy.
No.
Unless the only hands they can really have are like the two pairs, like Queen Jack, Queen 6 suited, maybe like some Queen deuce suited, and like Queen X to hearts.
I mean, you're assuming that he's not ever flatting like Ace Queen and King Queen pre, which there shouldn't be according to range charts, but I think people do.
But then, like with King Queen, like they might call the flop, but like they might not. You know what I mean? They probably would, but like, I don't think the Queen like massively hits them.
No, I got caught a lot in these games through like barreling what I thought were good turn cards, and discovering that people have been flatting hands pre-flop that I didn't expect them to. Now you're playing higher stakes, so I imagine the higher you go, the more like close to the charts that the players
More
are
like
playing,
free betting,
especially
basically.
more. There's going to be a lot more of that pre-flop. But I was getting done a lot in these spots where I'd be just see bet this board and I'd babble this turn, and they would just show up with ace queen or king queen and stuff like that, and they was like, what the fuck? And it used to confuse me. Now obviously we're looking at stakes much higher than I play. It could be very different, but even in the games I play now, I've switched to playing some games on iPoker and what have you, and pre-flop three betting just isn't that rampant, and there's an awful lot of flatting of hands that even I three bet, and I'm a fucking filthy, I'm an absolute fucking stain on the game, but even I'm three betting them. So yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised. I wouldn't strip him of Queen X here, because I think people just call
I'm
and
not
then
saying
flop.
they never have it, but I think like if you look at all the hands,
Yeah,
like,
definitely a bet. I just don't like this size. I don't think. Okay. I'm not sure what. Again, yeah, we achieve what you want to achieve, which is you want to be able to do this with your flush draws and things. But I think until someone's got a lot of hands on you, you don't need to worry about like being that balanced. Just do what your hand. In my opinion, do what your hand wants to do until you kind of like get to know a player and they get to know you, and maybe then if you think, well, these guys decent, then maybe go into this kind of play. But I think we can just get away with just betting like 2/3, 3/4 pot here for super
I don't mind
value.
3/4 as well. But yeah. Cool name as well, Yu-Gi-Oh! Grinder. Did you play Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day?
I don't even know what fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, mate. I couldn't tell you what Yu-Gi-Oh!
You're
is.
missing out.
I'm prepared to just continue missing out. So we're going to bet again on this river now.
No.
All right, okay. No. Yeah, he did have the Queen Jack. It's not surprising, is it?
Well, it's just like you can have the Queen Jack. Like I just, that's possible basically.
Do you think he's ever folding if we overbet again there? He's trying to because obviously his hand's been counterfeited by the top of our range, hasn't it?
If we have I don't think he's quite unlikely to fold at that point, just because he beats like ace queen and stuff. Yeah, I think it's relatively unlikely. I think if he had maybe a jack, he could.
I don't think we need to, because obviously our hand's got plenty in the showdown, but I was just asking in general, do you think...
Oh, yeah, in general,
when the board when the board pairs like that, do you ever think you can make someone fold? Or if we bet 2x pot there, do you think they're ever folding, or do you think you're just always getting called?
I think you're getting called quite a lot, just because they lose to sets and aces and kings.
So in that case, would it then be a good idea if you did have two aces here to bet really big?
Yeah. Obviously, if you knew they had Queen Jack, yeah.
Yeah.
But
sorry if that's a really stupid question.
Oh, no.
When I'm trying to figure out things I want to do, I'll be like, well, if I had a good hand here, what would it want? So I kind of if someone said no, you can't do that, then you're like, well, then I could do it for another reason. Then if someone's saying you can't 2x pot for value here with aces, it's too thin. They won't call with worse, then surely we could 2x pot with that fucking whole massive wide range of hands.
Yeah, because obviously the six river, although it kind of looks bad if you initially, but I suppose if you're overbetting the turn and they're calling, you'd think a lot of sixes are starting to fold on the turn.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So all of a sudden, we were behind you on the turn, but theoretically we were going to head off with that. I'm presuming we will play aces and kings the same way sometimes. We play pocket deuces.
Yeah, I bet
the same way
with them. Yeah.
So we have a lot of value that would want to do that, and just thinking if for example we ever had 4-5 or something here, would it be something you'd consider doing with that?
Yeah, 4 or 5 is probably 4 or 5 of clubs or spades or diamonds. Well, I forgot what the other suit was then for a second. Yeah, they'd be really good. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, magic.
Yeah. All right, let's carry on. So basically, I've kind of chopped it up. So hopefully, we'll just move on to a new hand straight away. Oh, there we go.
Seamless. That was seamless editing, sir.
The setup's not the best with the random number generator, but...
Do you not use that? I mean, I don't use it because I'm a fucking moron. But do you not use that Duragin? Because I believe that's got a built-in random number generator.
What's that?
It's a table sorting software. that has like a
might have to
built-in
get that, to be
random number
honest.
generator. It's called Jurojin, Jurojin. Then a lot of players I talk to use it, and it just has a random built-in RNG on every table, I think.
Yeah.
So are we looking at the 10-7 here again?
So,
Can we go back? Because I was just fucking rambling there
Yeah,
about
no worries. So I just called pre. I'd like 3-bet this sometimes as well. I just had to go a bit larger on this board. It's nice, like, not having the king. Basically, because like they can just call with a bunch of king X. And then the turn, like I wouldn't overbet this turn, for example.
No, it's not the best of turn. I mean, we still have a pretty strong hand.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It does improve him past us.
They can have better 2 pairs.
Yeah,
that you can,
reasonable
like,
amount of the
ace
time.
jack.
Yeah.
So it's not a turn you really want to overbet.
Would you be bet folding here too?
Probably. Against most people.
Stinks, doesn't it? What does no limit hold'em come to when you have to bet fold 2 pairs? It's just what?
Yeah. I had to bet fold a flush last night. Like backdoor flush or so now.
That's not a play I've got in my locker, I don't think. I mean, if the board's paired.
It was like the worst flush I could have.
I think can we not bet that river small once he checks again? Because I just think it's so unlikely that. I mean, yeah, I guess balanced players will sometimes check straights here, but I just think it's so unlikely that he checks at like a better hand too often. I think we hear from King Queen on the turn when we bet. So yeah, obviously Jack X has got there, but when he checks the third time, can we not just like bet pretty small there just to get some crying calls?
I mean, we have like the worst 2 pair, so we could run into like better 2 pairs. Yeah, well, basically what we want is like what he's had. So he had like King 2, right?
Yeah,
So he wanted to have like, sorry.
Yeah, it feels to me like we can maybe. I mean, it stinks that when we bet like fucking 10 big blinds here, it stinks when he raises, but I think it's a pretty clear fold. And
Oh yeah.
and I think he can probably call with some worse hands, especially if he's doing what we talked about earlier, which is just like checking range out of position. You know, I think he can still have some relatively strong hands here that just wouldn't want to fold for 10 bigs, but will be too strong to like turn into a bluff.
So basically like King 8.
But he could even have
King.
like aces still, you know, ace king still. Ace
Yeah,
queen,
I suppose.
ace queen maybe.
Yeah.
That all would just be like, fuck me, 10 blinds. Yeah, I've got to see it and just call. I mean, it's thin,
Yeah.
but I think when he checks 3 times and
Yeah,
we
the
have 2
fact I
pair.
check quickly I don't really like as well. I think I check super quick.
Yeah. I mean, you were kind of obviously just done with it when the 9 came, but I think given the line he's taken, I honestly think we could get like a 1/3 bet paid there.
Maybe like even nine blinds or something.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that is a thing really on rivers. I don't tend to see many players like betting small in position on rivers very often, so maybe it's just not a thing. But it feels like it's something that we can do and get away with.
I mean, there's also like I'm not saying like everyone bluff raises rivers, but like if you do bet small, you can against certain players, you can open yourself up to getting bluff raised.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But yeah, I think just the fact that I check back super quick isn't good. So yeah, I think it's close. I think you could bet like 10.
Is this queen's going to develop too, or are we going to be skipping on?
Yeah, but I think we'll watch this queen's hand as well. I find I change my sizings depending on what opponents do. Which I'm not sure if I should just stick to like here.
What the fuck size has that man just gone to? What the fuck?
You may think that this is bad, but
it looks terrible to me. Tell me why that's not. No. I mean, I'm on about. No, I think the fold's fine because his size is awful, isn't it? Surely.
Oh yeah, I don't know what he's doing. Yeah.
Oh right. I thought when you said
every time I see this, like I just think alarm bells.
Yeah, of course.
Basically, it's like under the gun opens, which is like obviously the strongest position at the table. Bottom 3-bet, cold 4 from the small blind. He folds and he just like does that. I just think this is one of those spots where you're just going to come across aces and kings. Like, I think with kings you get it.
Yeah, I think this is why I really have a strong dislike for speed poker, because if it didn't exist, this guy would absolutely be a fish. You know, because when you don't end up taking this sizing if you know very much about poker. You could, yeah, in my opinion, you're very shit to use his sizing, but he's done it, and he's playing like a 26V pip. I'd imagine if like we're back in the olden days and people were just like 2 or 3 reg tabling, this guy will be a very obvious fit. I find it really hard to spot the fish in these like fast forward games.
I don't play these games to like find whales really.
No, the point I'm making is, though, you're seeing his 26V pip and that they've probably got reasonable PFR stats. And it's very easy to think, oh, this guy might be half decent. But then you see something like this and that he would instantly get my fish tag because, I mean, this is just fucking nonsense. But my point is, for anyone who's watching who plays these speed poker games, it's something that I've had a talk with a couple of players in the Sky Discord group. And they're like, yeah, I think you overestimate how good a lot of your opponents are. And I never used to agree with them until I played speed poker for a month. Point. And there's so many players that have like reasonable looking stats that once they get past what the chart tells them to do, they are just utter dog shit. And this guy will be one of them. He's a 26V pip fish, and I think that's what makes speed poker games so bad. Just a lot of the fish just play so tight. But I would be like, before I folded it, and I don't think you do it, I'd just be tagging this guy as a fish. And
I mean, I do neglect tags a bit just because I don't play on here much. But I do a couple of tags in this video, I think.
It's still important though, because if you notice someone doing something that's just pretty shit, it's important to know they're capable of doing something pretty shit, because then you know, right, well, this guy he's not like, sometimes he can be like 26/21 with a whatever 3-bet. You're like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. And you need to see someone like this to like, right, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just learned some fucking charts. Or he's like taught himself to play a bit tighter. Because, I mean, this guy, 26V pip, doesn't look like a fish, but as soon as you see this, he just has to be a fish because no one good does this. I mean, I don't think even anyone's even 5-bet. You know, it's either 5-bet shove or flat. It should really be his play, shouldn't it, here? I'd imagine.
Yeah. Like, if you wanted a 5-bet, you'd want a min raise, but I'd just jam or fold.
Yeah. Do more tagging, sir. That's the only thing I can tell you today that might help you get better, because you're much better than me. Do more tagging, because when you're playing these pools, and I accept you don't play them often, it's really important to try and differentiate between the regs that might be well studied and the regs that are just fucking tight fish.
Yeah, fair point, mate. Fair point. And I think it was his first 3-bet in. Or not 3-bet in 6. I know it's only 60 hands, so it's not really much of a sample. Oh, I do get torched in the session as well, so that's always entertaining.
Well, it is if it's someone like fucking Easty. Not if it's someone like you.
I don't know how he runs so bad. It's actually kind of crazy.
He plays so bad, that's why. You know, I mean, it's like he just doesn't adjust. He just plays his style and doesn't adjust. And he has countless people jumping in the pool playing negative EV poker against him, you know, just to try and make the stream.
I think he's winning.
Oh, of course he's winning.
I've honestly never seen like a guy run that bad.
I don't know. I've seen him run pretty good too. I just think like he'd be a lot better if he just made some pretty wild adjustments, rather than just trying to stick to what he thinks is his like GTO strategy. When no one, I mean, not many people like know a great deal about like delivering. Humans can't really deliver it very well. So he's trying to deliver a strategy. Maybe he knows what 15-20% off tops. And I think when he gets like, not just him, a lot of these players who are like relatively well studied but not getting good results, they just need to start making a lot more like pretty extreme adjustments and figuring it out from there, rather than just trying to stay within the realms of what they know is like theoretically correct. Because these guys that play in these pools, they're pretty exploitable. And when you're streaming and people are coming to play against you to try and put you in spots or try and piss around with you, they make themselves even more exploitable. So trying to just play unexploitably against people who are like deliberately and consciously playing negative EV poker does not make much sense to me.
Yeah, fair. I think it's I'm a fan of the channel anyway. I think it's
I watch it all the time, but if he's winning, I turn off quite quickly because he's unbearably smug and he gets on my tits. When he's losing, I'd watch it 48 hours straight.
Fair.
I hope he's not a mate of yours. If he is tough shit. Yeah, we will. Yeah, he is. He's a bit Marmax. I know a lot of people do like him, but to me, he just comes across as someone who's a little bit entitled, really bad loser, pretty bad mental game. and just generally not a particularly likeable person. But yeah, as you say, it's their own. Let's crack on, because he might be your best mate for all I know. He might be best man at your wedding.
I've never met him, but
for that you should be grateful.
Right, so anyway, yeah, sorry. So C-bet here, got like 2 overs, backdoor, great draw. And what do you think of the barrel here then?
I think if we're going to barrel, we need to barrel all 3. Because I think you can still have like lots of pocket pairs that are going to want to call twice. I don't like this barrel if you're just going to check back most rivers.
Well, my plan is to basically barrel diamonds. Just because we have like the 10 of diamonds, and it's just like kind of quite a nice way of like picking like your barrels in a way.
Yeah, I probably overbluffed these spots, but
I don't think it's a bad thing, to be fair.
The amount of times I just like bet, give up, and they're in their pocket 3s, pocket 5s, fucking like ace 3 suited.
It's annoying.
Ace 3, ace 5, etc. People just get to the rivers with still relatively weak ranges because they're just going to raise you at some point, or they're going to lead the river. If they haven't raised you with a strong, say you've got 9s full here, or deuce X or what have you, or he rivers it straight with the ace 5, they're just going to donk into you a lot. So when you go check, call, check, most of the time they're just capped as fuck. And I just think it's a good spot to just blast rivers with big over bets and just get them to fold everything that isn't, pretty nutted. Because it's just so frustrating when they do turn up with pocket 5s, pocket 3s.
It's annoying, yeah.
Or they've floated you twice with like ace high or what have you, and you just let them win with it because they make too many like loose-ish turn calls on these types of boards, in my opinion. But it's really quite hard to find that third barrel because you're always paranoid by now. Oh, he's not folding 9x, he might not fold pocket 7s. But even if they don't, you still put them in an incredibly tough spot. And if they're not folding, like pocket 3s, pocket 5s, pocket 7s to a triple barrel, then the first time you bluff them, you lose money. Then after that, you just fucking print from them.
Yeah. Good shout, to be fair. Maybe like not just the diamonds, can just 3 of spades.
Yeah, I think just get bang out of line. I think you can just get, when it goes check, call, check, I think you can get incredibly out of line until they do something to make you realise, well, perhaps this isn't the person to do it against. But against population, you can get way out of line.
Yeah. See, so, yeah, I mean, that's only 250 hands, but he was like 17% rebet.
Yeah, which might be. I'm interested to get your thoughts the next time you play. But I think it's.
I've always just assumed it's true. I don't think
it is true. So I'd be tempted to call it because I think Ace King does this a lot.
Well, I would, but then bang.
Right. No, well, yeah. Away we go then. Yeah, Ace King. Oh, and aces. There you go. What a tremendously enthralling speed poker hand.
I know.
Who knew they'd both be top of range when all the money went in?
We've got a flush on the right, though. So we just call them in rows. I'm not sure if we ever 3-bet Jack Deuce. It might be just Jack 4 plus that we 3-bet sometimes. I don't mind raising this flop for what it's worth as well.
I can confirm I only ever 3-bet Jack 4 suited when I'm tilting.
Oh, yeah.
That is the only time I ever find the 3-bet with the Jack 4 suited.
Well, it's just like hands that blind versus blind, you'll want to... So I don't 3-bet enough in general. And like, I found some of the 3-bets I was missing were like the kind of... It relates to like the randomizer again. Because I wasn't using a randomizer, so there'd be a bunch of 3-bet hands that like to 3-bet like 25%. And because I wasn't... I thought, oh, that's not very important, it's only like 25%. But like when it all adds up, it's like a lot.
Yeah. I made a horrendous spew this morning and it worked out tremendously well. I was tilted because I woke up at silly o'clock because I wasn't feeling well. And then I just started playing because I had nothing better to do. The games were shit. This cunt kept 3-betting me. Or if I 3-bet, he kept 4-betting me. So I decided for some random reason that I was going to 3-bet the 10-5. Well, it wasn't a random reason. I 3-bet the 10-5 suited because in my head, you can't make a straight without a 10 or a 5. So I can make more straights, fish logic. And he like min 4-bet me. I was like, oh, fuck me. So I just spike called because I'm just not folding to a min format, and I just flopped a flush when he flopped top set. It was fucking beautiful. Queen high board, and I flopped a flush and svelted him, and it was on eye poker, and he just gave me like the clapping hand emoji and
the clapping hand,
and then the true pro emoji, and I fucking loved it. And you know what I did then?
Pro.
I just hit and ran. I just fucked off. I loved it. But yeah, so I'd say it only happens when I just don't 3-bet 10-5 suited, but this guy was getting on my nerves. I was annoyed that I was awake at that time. I was annoyed that I wasn't feeling well. I shouldn't have been playing really, but then I just spewed my ring up and flopped a flush in a 4-bet pot, which was the hand I should never have. It was fucking beautiful.
Well, last night I did submit a bit out of character. I lobbed my headphones across the room.
Oh,
because I usually I don't really get bothered by variance, but this one was just like I flopped a full house on 10-9-9 pocket tens, and I do just like bet barrels, turn king, river king. He just has king queen off, and I'm just like, oh come on.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be the worst for fucking. I like literally when I first got, when was it? Probably about 6 years ago. I got a laptop from Dell delivered, and I punched it when I got a bad beat, and I dislodged the hard drive. I didn't know I dislodged the hard drive. I couldn't fix it, so it had to go back all the way back to fucking Germany, and then it came back, and literally within 2 days I'd done the same thing again. Legend. And like my wife's there, like, just telling you want your fucking money back. It's twice certain now. It's clearly a dodgy laptop, and I didn't have the courage to tell her until after it had come back the second time that I'd punched it twice. She's there like getting mad on my behalf, like on the phone to him saying, "You're out of order. We just got our money back." There, like, no, we'll just repair it again. And she was getting dead cross with them. I felt guilty because she was getting cross because I knew it was only fucked because I'd punched it twice. But I did confess to her once to get it back and said, to be honest with you, I said, that's been my fault. It won't happen again, I guarantee it. She said, how can you guarantee it? I said, because I'll never punch it again. And she looked at me, called me a fucking prick, and that was that.
Legend.
Right, so yeah, I like this race here with the Jack Deuce.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a bit weird that he's, I suppose you could have ace-x, it's blind versus blind. Obviously you'd expect a fair amount of checking on a flush board. But he decides to bet, so obviously raise for value. And then river, I think I go for like about 22.
I think I'd go,
or maybe a bit bigger.
I think I'd go pretty big here. It's gutting when you get raised because you have to fold, but I'd be going much bigger than that.
And then he just
and I'd have lost more money. I would have absolutely.
But I think I remember doing this and not really knowing what size to use. But I think like going above 30 here is good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much 5x people have in their small blind. I guess they have some 5x. Problem is, a lot of it's going to be 6-5 and ace-5, which isn't ideal. So maybe big isn't good on this exact board. Maybe it was like 5-8-5. People would have slightly less full houses, maybe.
It's like, what are we targeting? I guess like if we're targeting 5x specifically. And like maybe 7-8 as well. 7-8 gets there. Then I might have a look at that actually.
I'd also target stubborn ace-x's because even though people shouldn't really call with an ace-x there, lots do.
Yeah.
But I think it's likely to, because the 6 and the 5, because the 6 and the ace are both there. I guess he has a few more full houses than he would on other like paired boards.
I find this dancing thing very terrifying.
Yeah, it's shit. It's just total fucking dog shit.
It's terrifying. Right, this is the first hand I've just whacked in the solver, but we'll just play it through first. So obviously this is one of those boards that the big blind loves.
Yeah, I hate your size there. And because I think we're going to be like betting this at such a low frequency, I think when we do bet, we're just allowed to go fucking stupidly big.
Yeah, maybe actually.
I would continue betting that turn as well, just because even if we get raised, we have a call and we can bow up.
Yeah, I think I just absolutely butcher this hand. It's obviously the way I played it, I would bet on the
And now we've probably gone bigger on the river. gone to, like, really polarised. Yeah, I think we just like have to bet that flop much bigger because it's such a high frequency check back that when we are betting, I think we're just allowed to go fucking huge.
When we check more, we can bet bigger. Yeah.
And I think we definitely have to. I don't think we definitely have to continue betting the turn, but because we know we're allowed to call.
We can call.
If it's a spot where we have to bet full, then no, I don't like it. But we've got a set. We can just bet call.
If we have aces, it's more of a check, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think.
Yeah.
But with the set, I like just check betting.
And also
again.
like in terms of 3x, he's not going to have like tons, I guess. Like he's going to have what, like ace 3, like the pairs with the 3.
I don't know.
It's not tons, is it really?
I haven't had a chat in a long time, but I'm presuming he's allowed to call with stuff like 4-3 suited, 5-3 suited, 6-3 suited.
It's not like seeing a 7.
No.
Seven's a lot worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did the solver say about this? Because I guess that's where we're going with it now.
We'll have a look.
We're off to solver land.
So, I'm player 2. Player 1's in position. So, they love checking on here. But with 5s, it like I give it like 2 sizings, a third and 2/3, and it kind of like mixes between those sizings. But we do like to bet.
So you've got to give the solver. I thought the solver gave you sizings. You've got to give the solver a sizing.
You put the sizings in. So this is me player 2.
I am such a fucking moron.
Like, so flop, turn, river. Like these are the sizings I put in.
Yeah.
I like raise sizings as well. I'm still kind of like looking at it to get it because I'm pretty new to using it. I've used it before, but like using it regularly. But yeah, like I think it's interesting how this board, like we check back a bunch, and if we do bet, the opponent raises quite a lot. Loves being like kind of 9-8, 10-8, Jack-8. But yeah, I think you might be right about the flop sizing. Just because it is such a high frequency check for us, when we do bet, we can bet bigger. I might just write that down actually.
You don't want to be taking advice from me on 100 L games.
Nah, mate.
You really don't.
So far, mate. You've absolutely grandsoned me so far. Right, so yeah, so if we and then they call. Yeah, just pairs and a few gutters, straight draws. They'll raise like a bunch of, just because it's such a good board, they'll raise a bunch of like just 7x. And then...
So what did it say about that, Matt? Because I said I would bet the turn again. Is it not doing that at all?
What, as me? So, yeah. So it is betting the turn. Like, but it's like checking. It's mainly betting, basically. Which, yeah, I realised that like it was a mistake, just because like in the game I just put too much emphasis on 3x. So basically, what you're saying, mate, is solver approved.
Go on, Reg.
When you were joking before about being this this solver wizard,
I'm a human solver.
It turned out not to be a joke. And yeah, obviously we just get called by a6. Hands that didn't raise the flop are raising, and then river. Going black is like all in, going in with like 8-7, 7x. Yeah. But yeah, you were right, mate. Anyway, I'll just like bin that off for now.
Even a blind squirrel finds a fucking nut once a day, mate.
Yeah, mate.
That might be my nut for the day.
But yeah, when you have those sessions where you just don't feel like you played particularly great, this was kind of one of them. But I did feel like quite a bit happened, so yeah, I also have those sessions where you try and record a video and just like nothing happens for an
Yeah,
hour.
that's why I've stopped doing them,
That's
because
so
it
annoying.
is just so like the amount of times I've recorded a fucking like myself playing live, and within 20 minutes I'm like, fuck me, I'm boring myself again. Just like, right, just get rid of it.
Yeah. Just checking back on the right, I presume. River in the old 2-pair. Don't think he's got much, so I'll go for a smaller size him.
That would have gone big. If he's got anything he's called him with, I think he's gonna. If the pot's small enough where we just always have the best hand, and he's either calling or he isn't, in my opinion. There again,
Yeah.
I don't really. I think when you bet bigger, you're going to get fewer calls, I guess. But I would have gone pretty close to full pot there,
I
personally.
wanted ace high as well. Yeah.
I mean, we haven't exactly exuded strength through the hand. Also, we want to bet river big. People just don't believe that sort of shit.
So I think we can barrel this.
I'm not a huge fan of like double barreling on ace high boards. Even when that trips come on the turns and reduces the amount of races you have theoretically, I'm not a big fan of it. I just don't think when like the ace pairs.
I don't mind checking back flush draws, but like, I think that if we get raised with this particular hand, like, it's just less valuable than a flush draw.
We don't care, do we? I just don't think we get.
Yeah.
I just don't think we get enough folds.
So what are you barreling anything on this turn that isn't?
Probably not, but that's probably significant shitness from me. But I just went like, if I see an ace high board and I've got nothing, and the ace pairs the turn, I tend not to barrel, because I think they're going to have, less ace X, but still some. And also, I just don't think they're going to fold second pairs very often, because in their heads it's less likely he has an ace now, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's that good an idea to double barrel that spot, but it worked out. So
no, I definitely would. Yeah. So this went check on the flop.
Was it a 3-bet pot? Is he 3-bet and we've defended?
Yeah. Very small.
So again, I'd be instantly tagging him as like fish to bad reg, because his sizing pre-flop just isn't what anyone's doing these days. It's any good. You normally expect to see like the 11x, don't you, now from the small blind?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I messed around with like 10x, 11x, 12x. I'm just like coiling up for a 3-bet here, then denied. So I don't mind cold foring, I guess, but
I don't think I'd have folded there with the king 10, and I'm aware that I'm a station. I think a lot of
the hearts get in, really.
Yeah, I can see why, but
I mean, he does have a bunch of like broadways that miss, I guess.
I mean, I'm just a sucker. I'm just a sucker for when someone like misses a c-bet and then just like barrels up, especially with this size, like this half pot sizing. I'm just a sucker for like, not a fan of your line, mate. Let's have a look. And sometimes I win, sometimes I don't. And when I don't, I just console myself with the fact I've got a note, basically, which is probably what holds me back, because maybe this is just a completely fine fold. But he's done the small 3-bet pre, which I actually think is not very good. Then he's not c-bet a board that you'd expect him to c-bet a decent amount, and then he's just mashed the half pot button on the river, which I've seen more and more people doing these days. That half pot went out of fashion for a while, didn't it? But it seems like it. I watch a lot of a player called Komodo Dragon Jesus, and he seems to enjoy half pot these days, and he's well studied, good player. So maybe half pot's coming back into fashion, but typically, when I see half pot, I just think that's someone who's just mashing buttons around and not really thinking very much. And I'd just call this, because I think we're a little bit under-repped, and I just think we've got a reasonable hand to catch up with. Let's say you can have ace jack, ace king, etc. Just
Yeah,
random nonsense.
I think honestly, if that's the eight of spades, sorry, I'll call. Um,
It is interesting to me how these sizings seem to come and go in fashion. Like, I'm seeing
yeah,
quite a lot of people now, like with 3-bet pots. It used to be you're just 3-bet quarter pot. Now I'm seeing lots of people using like 2/3 pot on certain board textures, and
oh yeah, it
they,
depends on the board,
yeah,
doesn't it?
they change it all the time. I think it's pretty interesting. As long as you keep up with what the current trend is, you can identify the lads who aren't maybe keeping up quite as well.
So, thoughts on this? There's something you'd
Yeah,
you'd be doing,
I
or
think it's all right as long as we're folding. I mean, presumably bluffing. You know.
yeah. This is like our favourite 4-bet bluff candidate.
So has it overtaken like the ace fives and the ace four suited now the ace queen?
Yeah, yeah, I'd say so. Like, I still say like ace five, ace four is up there. But this is just such a good one. Like, 'cause if you think about it, you don't want to flat out position with this sort of hand
No.
against most people anyway.
When I was playing these games, though, when I was doing this, I was finding people were just like in these games. Well, let's say these games. When I was playing 25 and L Russian cash, there was an awful lot of these small 3-bets with all pocket pairs, and not an awful lot of folding versus 4-bets. So, you know, it does make it quite tricky post pot, because I don't think you get that many folds when you do this, because people's 3-bet ranges, people aren't tending to do that much 3-bet folding. Well, it certainly weren't the 25 and L games. Once you were 3-betting, they weren't doing a lot of folding.
Yeah.
So,
and also, like, there's a question about my sizing as well. Like, this is like fine, but I do see some players like go bigger out of position with 4-bets, like to 23, 24 bigs. Again, like, this is a very small 3-bet, so. But yeah, it's something I'm gonna have a look at as well, because I'm kind of like going through like pretty big downswing at the moment, but it's a good opportunity to kind of like look into
so
how you're playing.
When you're not playing these shit games, where are you playing? Are you still on the apps, or are you playing
on the apps?
Combat?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So 4-bet pots, I'll tend to the only real sizing I use will be 25%, just because the stack to pot ratio is so small.
Yeah. I don't love this. Yeah, I like the sizing. I don't necessarily like this board for doing it on, because of how I think there's lots of people just going to have tons of pocket pairs here. I don't think it gets many folds. I mean, obviously it's going to this time because the rabbit's coming out. But
because the rabbit's coming out, yeah.
I don't think you get too many folds on this board.
But if you check, then
you just give up. Probably not. No, I'm probably just giving up and hating the cunt on the board.
I think you've got to make a play for it, like with 42 bigs in there. And I was thinking, I need to look at this hand actually, because it's why I rabbit hunt basically, because I want to know like what I'd do on the turn if you did call.
Yeah. And what would you have done?
Maybe if I have a spade, barrel again for small.
Yeah, I like small bet again on the turn, just to put like heaps of pressure on his all the pocket pairs that he's like 3-bet called with.
Yeah, it's really nice because like it also provides a kind of implicit threat of river jams. Yeah,
and on that bottom we can happily just go small shove with our kings, aces, queens, etc.
Yeah.
So yeah, as I said, didn't love it. I don't think it's going to work very often, but if the plan is to barrel off at some frequency to like put max pressure on his like pocket 8s, pocket 7s, pocket 9s, all that kind of stuff, then yeah, I like it much better. If it's just really like a one and done, then I think I don't like it much.
Because it's one of those spots where obviously they can have like aces.
No, of course, yeah.
You know what I mean? They can like just flat that, but in general, like you're just gonna have way stronger hands. So it could be one of those spots where you could just kind of start going mental against certain players. But yeah.
So what happened pre-flop in this Queen's hand? We 3-bet.
He just flats. I think he cold calls.
He just cold called out of the small. A big, sorry. So what do you put someone who's like got a 19 VP? What do you like What's their calling range here, in your opinion?
Oh, this guy.
The big black guy.
Like nines, tens, jacks, ace queen, ace jack suited.
Do you have the ace kings in there? I don't think it can be, from what I've been seeing.
Maybe ace king off.
But again, I'm talking about 25-0 nit regs, not 100-0 players, which...
Well, it's not something you see often, is it? Like, flat in the big like that.
I've been seeing it a fair bit in the games I play, but I play in games where the average 3-bet... I've been playing iPoker on a soft skin, and the average 3-bet's like 3.5%, so I'm seeing it more because of that, probably. Tens.
Yeah, tens.
Yeah, there's much you can do there.
Yeah, it's just kind of like not really knowing what to do, like being in like no man's land, like with like I don't really want to fold, but I don't want to 3-bet.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, once your bet gets called on the flop, we're absolutely shutting down. I think there's a very strong case for him bluffing this, turning his hand into a bluff on the river. When we check back that turn, the only hand that we have that's really strong on the river is probably pocket kings, that maybe plays the same way. I very much doubt we're checking back an ace on the turn. I think he should probably realise his tens aren't good and just try and buy the pot.
Yeah, because we just 3-bet coffee MP, didn't we? So yeah,
we're going to have like jacks, queens, and kings that play the same way, and he loses to all three of them, but two of them fold. So for me, he should be.
I'm trying to think of hands that we might have, like 10-9 suited and stuff, like just like hands that just miss and then bet one, give up, that he beats.
Yeah, but he's not. But he has a really tough call. The river. I wouldn't want to bluff catch with tens there, because you said.
No, I mean like that we like check back maybe, but I'm not sure. I don't think there's many. Basically, what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I could be being a moron here, but I'm way less of a fan of overbetting when we're out of position than I am when we're in position. I don't think I would have overbet there with the jack.
I didn't like it when I did it.
I mean, I could be wrong.
I don't
think it's bad. In theory, it's probably quite good. But we don't have much jack X again. Did we see bet the flop as well or not? Or did we?
No, we just called. I donked out. I donked the turn.
And we donk overbet the turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not in love with that. I mean, it could very easily be the best line to take. I'm not criticising it. I'm not one that likes overbetting out of position, because I think it just makes our opponent's decision pretty damn easy a lot of the time.
But with an ace, though, like
between call and fold, yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course you're going to call with an ace, but you just make it easier to fold everything else that isn't an ace.
It's also he's going to check back this turn a bunch as well.
No, I appreciate that. I think we can lead this turn. I just don't think we want to be leading it for overbet too often. I think it makes life pretty easy. If he's got a pretty strong ace, he cry calls turn and folds river if he's any good, I imagine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess we can be doing that with 10-9-2 when the second card pairs just realising it's good for us. I'm just not a big fan of the out of position overbet. Well, there's a lot of things that solvers do that I'm not a big fan of, probably because I haven't got the balls to do half of them.
Yeah. I hardly do anything the solver does, to be honest. Half the time when I check a hand, like, they're just doing like the opposite.
I've been watching some videos lately where there's a lot of like pretty good players who know what solvers do and then just don't do it because they're like, well, humans don't do this, humans don't have this, humans don't have that. So they'll know what the solver wants to do, but they won't do it because they're aware that their opponents are human beings and not robots. And they're making some pretty sweet adjustments. I can't remember what I was watching. It might have been a stream or it might have been a YouTube video, but it was something, and it was like a really good player. Actually, I think, was it someone called CG? Might not have been. But they were pretty much like, well, like when someone's doing something that a bot should do, like overbetting aggressively or what have you, they're still overfolding against it, because even though they know the solver wants to do it, they're also aware that humans find it really difficult to do a lot of the stuff. Even if you've studied the spot and know you should do it, their argument is humans still find it really hard to pull the triggers that robots would obviously do
Yeah.
without caring.
They don't care, do they? How are you doing for time?
I've
Do
got
I just carry on like?
all the time in the world, mate.
Are you going to carry on?
Yeah.
I really hate how I played this hand, by the way. Because I'm looking at his stats, thinking he's super aggressive, so I'm happy to bet call the flop. Because I think he's going to check raise a bunch. Is that my Discord, by the way? Is that yours?
That must have been mine's gone twice, but I didn't hear anything then. So I'm guessing that one must have been
right,
yours.
If you can't hear it, that's all right. So my plan was there to call like brick turns, but then like this turn I think is quite connected, and that completes like a few of his bluff raises.
That Alan Edwards is a real reg. He was playing 25 in February, and I was playing, and he was just like rake hunting galore, like in all the rake races. So he's either done really well and moved up, or he just plays a zillion fucking tables and is in every rake race, maybe.
Yeah.
But
But with the ace-10, I think I like checking back the flop.
Yeah, I think that you said something interesting, which was like, I think I'm going to get raised a bunch, and I fall that trap all the time where I'm c-betting where I think I'm going to get raised a lot, and the minute I have that thought, I just get incredibly fucking stubborn with it, and I end up calling down too much when I just shouldn't. So yeah, I think like your flop call's fine, shooting down at that turn when they barrel is better than what I do, because the minute I think, it's the board that they're going to raise a lot, I just tend to think, well, I'm not fucking folding then. But yeah, I mean that run out would have been dreadful for you.
I call like deuces through to fives, board pairing cards, obviously an ace. So there's a bunch of hands that I can call, but I just think that's a bad turn.
Yeah, I think it's really good you got away, because say I get stuck in those spots. I'm sure plenty of others do, where you just get fucking stubborn for the sake of it. You've no real reason to, other than I knew he was raising. And then you just get fucking stuck in the mindset that, this guy's full of shit.
Yeah.
When
so here I just like, I use these games to, excuse me, the old sore throat. I use these games to try different things. So I don't normally do this, but technically the solver loves leading these boards.
Yeah, I like leading that on these boards too. It's really hard to fucking balance properly. Well, it is for me anyway, because I don't study well enough.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just like a super bad turn.
Do you think so? See, I think it's a really good fucking turn.
It's all right, but basically, like, think about our strong hands on the flop. Like 2 pairs, sets, ace-2. Like, a lot of them are going to hate that turn.
I would continue betting.
The only hands that we love are like 6-7, 5-6, 4-6.
I would continue betting there with ace-deuce and my sets, because my sets can just call a raise, and fine, if he's got 6x. How much 6x does he have in his like middle position? Opening range, probably not a lot. I wouldn't
probably
imagine.
Not loads, no.
So I think I would have just carried on betting there. Because now I don't know what story we're trying to tell on this river. All of a sudden we like it. We didn't like it. We didn't like it on the turn, and all of a sudden we do like it on the river.
Well, we have queen high, so I just thought I'd go for it.
Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, that. Jack 8. I mean, we'll probably lose more playing at my way, because he's not folding the turn either. And then he's, bad on. Did he have a flush in the end, did he there? Or did he just have the 8?
No, he just had pair.
Yeah, I think once I lead that flop, I'm just going to go bosh, bosh, bosh. Because a lot of his stuff that calls are just going to hate it by the river. He might call twice your pocket 10s, pocket jacks, pocket even all the way through to aces. But he probably shouldn't be folding the river. He probably shouldn't be calling the river. And again, it could be really fucking spewy and punty. But I mean, if you think it is, please do say. Don't just let me get away with talking bollocks. But I think once we bet that flop, that turn isn't that bad for us, I don't think, in terms of like, it doesn't improve him very often, and we can still have a shitload of strong hands. And I'd also want to continue betting my sets on the turn, because, if he raises, we can bow up. He's not going to raise very often on that board anyway.
Yeah, I suppose being out of position, though, kind of, like if you call a raise to bow up in position, it's like a lot nicer, isn't it?
It is, but I'd call the raise to bow up, whether it's in position, out of position.
Because then it's also like, whatever. It's then like, if you bow up, are you like then donk shove in the river? Or like shove in the river like out of flow?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Again, I really like this race. excuse me. I really don't like that raise size from at the small blind, that's 7 blinds. I don't get it. But it's a thing I only really see on GG. When I was playing on Party Poker or Triple Eight, I wasn't seeing this size from almost anyone, but on GG it seems to be a thing a lot. There's an awful lot, and when you raise and people 3-bet you in position, there's an awful lot of like just 2.5x. It seems like small 3-betting is quite in fashion on GG more than it is on other sites, and I don't know if it's to do with like where the players come from. You know, if a lot of like Asian or whatever players just do things differently. I'm not sure, but
well, in position, I get it. But out of position now.
Yeah, because it just gives you like a really easy flat then if the big blind doesn't come along, and you just get to play in position against you know just get to rep all kinds of fucking fun stuff, and he just can't he just can't go bet when he's bidding that small because you get to the flop with the with the
like,
with
it becomes like 8, 9, 10 or something.
Yeah,
It's like
he just needs to be forcing you out. That bet doesn't do a good job of forcing anybody out ever, and. Unless you've got aces or kings, he probably wants you to fold.
It should be part of the 3-bet strategy, innit? Like, if you 3-bet and they fold, you win money. So that should be part of your thinking.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like it kind of is. It would have been a nice one as well.
Would have been a fun flop. So, with that ace king there. Looks like we've called the river with nothing. No, it's a shit. So why did we? Did we see bet the flop?
No, I checked the flop.
I think like Jack low. I think we can just see bet with absolute impunity, can't we? With like 2 overs and backdoor.
We can. It's just I think both's fine. Like if we get like check raised, it's a bit annoying. Because then we have to like kind of fold and we have like quite a not good hand, but do you know what I mean? Like if we check, then we definitely kind of realise more.
Yeah, I guess so.
Whereas if we like see bet like queen high, 10 high, then if we get check raised, then we don't care. We just bin that.
But then we didn't bet the turn either, did we? And then it's checked twice. And yeah, I get that we have showdown value. But I just tend to bet relatively big here on this turn, just to A, not let him get there with something random on the fucking river. B, with a plan to like bet the river again if he check calls, and C, just to collect any fucking dead money that's out there.
Yeah,
he's checked twice. He's shown no interest in the pot whatsoever. With this exact hand he's got, it wouldn't have worked. But I just don't want him to be sat there with like 8-7 of fucking diamond or something, and then just hit the river and just win against us with a hand he would just fold for a smallish bet.
Yeah, I think the turn bet's good because obviously he's checked twice, so you have more information. So here it seems like a bit of a classic check raise spot.
Yeah, just to me. That's disappointing.
It didn't quite work out that way. So I go 2/3 here. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I would have gone even bigger once we checked the flop. I wouldn't mind getting up as high as pot. Because again, he's either going to call or fold. Oh,
is he?
it's a bit spicy, isn't it? What the fuck is that all about? The first thing you should be doing here is tagging him as a moron.
Yeah. Which
I'm presuming you're not going to do. And the second thing is now, I don't like 3-bet here much. I think I prefer just calling and then just check shoving river and just hoping that it doesn't come like a 10 or a 7.
I think there's so many bad cards, man.
I know, but sometimes you just got to gamble with the nuts. Sometimes you just have to gamble with the nuts.
It's not the nuts though, is it?
God, it's just fucking good as. If he's got the 10-9, the 10-7 or the Queen 10, then, good for him. I don't like 3-bet here.
No, I like 3-bet here. Although I have no idea what size to do because it's such a weird spot. I think obviously like he's a reckoning as well.
Yeah.
So if he's got something he likes, he'll just get it in. Your plan would have worked.
Wait, it might not have worked. So he might have just checked back on us when we checked, and then we look like a moron. But yeah.
But yeah, I just think that's like such a wet board. Like if he has like 2 pair or something, like if it comes like a 7 or a 10, then you'll just check back or like fold a bet.
No, I understand the arguments for just wanting to put more money in now. And maybe I'm just an excessively trappy cunt. I don't know, but I think like when he min raises there, he's either going to have like something pretty good that he's going to always bet the river with anyway, or he's going to have what he had, just total fucking nonsense. I'm just willing to just gamble that like a 4-liner doesn't come. I mean, if a flush card comes, I don't really care. He's just going to get paid from me.
Yeah, that's flush. Yeah,
I'm just check calling rather than check raising. The only thing I don't want to see is the 4-liner, and what it's got like 8 cards that are a 4-liner and 40 that aren't. Sorry, 32 that aren't. He's going to take a chance it's not going to come. And try and get a check raise on the river in.
Yeah, an ace king of fair amount.
So what are we RNGing for then?
Not for this particular hand, but I like do it every so often.
Ah, right, okay.
So if I then have like an RNG, because obviously this is just I'll 3-bet this all the time. And I don't hate flying here.
I don't hate folding here against someone who's VPIPing 16%.
Nah.
Will's just not having it. He's just not having it.
I think I just kept it in to just like show myself getting stacked.
Maybe I'm just a fucking filthy nit, but when a 16% VPIP guy 4-bets, I think Ace King is a pretty shitty fucking hand to be holding. I really do. I mean, I could be fucking wrong, but I genuinely, I'm not just saying, I'm glad I said it beforehand, I think I probably would just have folded there against someone VPIPing 16%. Because that's even less than me. And I know when I do that, I've got fucking 0 bluffs. And, you know, that guy's VPIPing less than I am.
Yeah. We're getting up to this hand. Here we go. This guy, I respect this guy.
You respect him, or is that a troll, or do you actually respect him as decent?
Genuinely.
Ah, right.
Shows a lot of heart, to be fair.
Again, I'd go check back or bigger there, personally. He's raised. Happy days. Well, I think it's happy days.
That's a really good turn.
That feels like it's an exceptionally good turn.
We bated breath.
Oh, I don't have the small bet. I think I'm tempted to raise against that size. Because let me see if I'm right with this. He's check raised a flop, and then he's barreling the turn. So he's like saying he's pretty polarized, but then he's using a size that doesn't represent a polarized range. So that doesn't make sense to me. So I would have just raised that turn because it's like, well, fuck you, mate. You know, it doesn't make sense that you would take such a like pretty polarizing line, but then use a small sizing. So when I see like, to me, that's an indiscretion or an indiscrepancy, sorry, or a discrepancy, however you want to put it, between like his frequency is, or what is his actions saying one thing and his sizing saying another. So when I see that, I assume this player's probably not very good. So therefore, I'm just going to try and get more value with my aces. And I would raise it. I'd be puking if he jammed on me. I wouldn't know what to do then. But am I right in saying that we know if he's taking a pretty polarised line, which he has done there, he shouldn't therefore be using that sizing? Or am I totally out of touch there? Am I totally old-fashioned there with that?
In general, like a big sizing is seen as polarised. But you'd expect him to maybe do a lot of checking on this turn as well, because it's so bad. Because obviously he's repping when he raises.
Yeah. So again,
he'll have a lot of sets, 2 pairs, and like the 5 is just like so bad. But from playing the hand, like it did feel like, because villains do like to attack these boards, and quite rightly, like from the big blind. because I think that fair amount of regs do have an understanding that this is a good board to attack. So from like kind of all that info, I kind of had the vibe that he was up to it more than having value, if you know what I mean, or like he could be bluffing.
Yeah,
So that's why I kind of called.
I understand why you've called there. I was just seeking clarification from you as somebody who's better than me that it doesn't make sense to check raise and then bet small. Or am I just wrong with that? Is that just a thing that solvers are advocating these days? Because check raise bet small always stinks to me as what the fuck is going on here.
Well, he might be betting small just because of the turn card. Like if he has a full house and I have ace king, like betting small. Like, I think that checking or betting small makes more sense than betting big on this turn.
Fair enough.
Just because the turn has kind of changed the kind of basically how strong his range is in a way. But then the river, obviously the river's great as well. It's a very lucky run out for us, really.
Well, I wouldn't have the balls to race here, though. I would only be calling stuff because I'm a gutless.
Oh yeah! Oh my god! I would race it.
Gutless
Jesus.
bastard. But you know, I mean, yeah.
Mate, imagine raising here. You'd be a madman.
But the thing is, only 30 blinds more, isn't it? That's why I was thinking, is it even 30 blinds more? It's not. It's 27 blinds more. It's not a lot, you know. So maybe he'd have to call with like worse value. That's why I was thinking maybe like I wouldn't race because I wouldn't have the balls. But, you know, if he's doing this with, say, a hand like fucking pocket eights, pocket nines, pocket jacks, whatever, just doing random fucking bullshit nonsense, he wouldn't be able to fold for, like, the last 27, would he?
I just think it's unlikely he's going to have worse for value.
But give them balls double pair, could he even call you with ace high? Just thinking, fuck it, it's 27 blinds more. He shouldn't, but I think when people commit themselves like this...
I think we're going to come across hands that beat us or bluffs. Like loads of the time.
No, I agree. I wouldn't raise, but just given it's 27 more, I think maybe we could have what? Fair booze.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
so what you got to say though, like most people would shut down because it's such a terrible run out. Because basically what he's repping is quads or 5-4. And like most people would bluff there, so
he can still do this with deuces, can't he? He's got a full house.
Yeah, deuces as well, yeah.
Right, it's interesting. But yeah, I still don't. I don't like his turn size. Still, fuck him for his turn size. That's the old school me coming out, I guess, because you've given me reasons why it isn't bad, and I'm still in my back of my head thinking, yeah, all right, Will, you tell me it's not bad, so I believe you, but I still think it's fucking bad. But then again, I'm someone who argued way too long that Daniel Sturridge is better than Harry Kane. I took that argument when I thought...
No, you didn't.
I took that argument... Well, I did. I took that argument when Sturridge was like flying for Liverpool, and then I carried on with the argument when it was apparent that Sturridge was a bit of a waste of time and Harry Kane wasn't. So I'm not one for changing my mind too often.
Well, I think Sturridge was a decent player, but he's got injured all the time.
Yeah, he was class in his day. When I first made the comment, in my opinion, he was better than Harry Kane, but Harry Kane soon proved that wasn't the case.
Harry Kane was terrible on his loan moves and stuff.
Yeah, at the time, I even actually made a bet with somebody, a bet of £200 that Harry Kane wouldn't get past 40 goals for England. And then he went on a slight dry spell, and they thought he's not going to do it. And then they bought out for 50 quid. I was fucking delighted to bet. And now look at him, he's going to be England's top scorer soon. So I got away with that as well. Fortunately, I was gambling with someone who didn't have the first clue about gambling. It was just like a football nut. And then I think about fucking 18 months later, he didn't look like he was going to do it, and we were chatting about it again. So I tell you what I'll do, mate, as a favour. So give us 50 quid, we'll call the bet off. And you're like, well, give us the 50 quid. And now look at Harry Kane now. I haven't seen him in a long time to remind him of it, because I just don't socialise in the same circles anymore. But if I ever do see him again in the flesh, I'll be certain to remind him of it, because he would have absolutely won the fucking bet.
That is brutal, isn't it?
Right, so this says Queen's just going to be a fold, I presume?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
No, we don't fold around here, mate.
No fold.
Well, we do quite a lot, but...
Zero fucks given about the called 4-bet then?
No.
I'm presuming we're getting called because it's in.
Well,
No, we're
presumed
not.
wrong.
I did presume
I just
wrong.
put it in just to make myself look like a big man.
You just fucking psyched me right out there, haven't you? You threw the Ace King in there, which gave me an easy nip fold for Reggie, and then I thought, I'm going to bang another nip fold in here, or what have you, and yeah, you just turned me fucking right over.
Against a lot of regs, yeah, you can easy fold, yeah. But I think that these two had, I mean, this wasn't many hands, but I think this guy had like a stats that would kind of suggest that he could be bluffing here quite a fair amount.
I suppose it's a reasonable spot to cut off versus
It's
small
not something I
blind,
do
isn't it?
loads. I don't do it loads, this sort of thing, but if I see like a spot where it makes sense.
So that's what makes the difference between someone like you and someone like me, because I just won't check them spots, and that's why I always struggle when I try and play a little bit higher, whereas you're just like, yeah, whatever, got to do it sometimes, so I'm just going to do it.
Yeah. So here's a bit of a weird one. So I've raised the cut off, he's called the small blind, and he just donks the flop.
Did he donk the flop as well, did he? Because this is the turbo one now, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah,
Right.
he just donks it for half. So what are your thoughts here? I mean, to be honest, like these sort of spots, like I try not to put too much energy into them just because it's such an uncommon thing. Whereas like button v big blind, when the big blind checks, it's like a really common spot that it kind of makes sense to get really good at.
Yeah, I would probably raise with Ace King, maybe raise sometimes with Ace Queen, and just probably always just call with Ace Jack. I think.
Yeah.
I would definitely have some raises here because this is just nonsense.
Ace King, Ace Queen, yeah. I don't hate raising here either. I mean, the turn, I don't really love what I do on the turn here.
I don't think we can raise now, though, can we?
I do.
All right.
Because I don't really know why. I'm trying to think of a smart reason why I did, but I can't think why. I think maybe in my head I'm thinking he's got a bunch of draws that'll just call.
He's got a bunch of draws that might just three bet them too, though.
Yeah, and like 4 or 5's got there. Like, I just think this is just awful. But you know, we're all about honesty here, mate. And then like the 5 gets there, or just fold.
Ugh.
But yeah, I just put that one in there because when I played it, I was like, "What have you done there, mate?
Yeah.
You've just basically cancelled out the Ace Queen right there."
Yeah, I'm not a fan of your line there. I think I'd prefer if we're going to raising the flop, maybe. Then we can maybe sometimes pot control the turn. When we raise the turn, it's just more expensive to do that, and
yeah.
Yeah, and if he shoves
I think just call, then call on bricks.
Yeah.
Works well. It's obviously a nice turn here. So what are your thoughts on this turn?
I would have wimped out and checked back, and then just probably called rivers. If he checked again, then just probably bet rivers pretty big. I hope it's not a spade, or hope it is a spade. I don't know either way. If it was a spade, probably bet big on a spade or not a spade. I would kind of hope that if it wasn't a spade, we could bluff, or try and look like we're bluffing with spade draws. And if it is a spade, bet big, because he might have a flush and he might still call, because it's going to be a relatively small pot.
My thinking here is I want to tempt spade draws, which are drawing dead, and ace high, which is drawing dead, basically, with a small size.
What, you're trying to induce a raise?
No, just a call.
Right.
And then once I bet small on the turn, I quite like going big on the river. Maybe even bigger than this. I can't remember exactly how big I made it. Yeah, maybe even bigger than that. Maybe like 13 bigs.
So what are you targeting to get called by here?
Ace high.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he can also have...
Basically,
he can have like queens and jacks that call too as well, can't he?
Maybe queens and jacks, yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much ace high, queens jack, maybe like pocket eights.
And obviously, if he raises, it's just a trivial fold. Although I wouldn't expect to play king this way very often. Like bet, check. I don't like his call there very much. I don't think I do anyway.
No, I mean, that's why I go small turn, big river. Because on the turn, like, players will almost like just flick it in with ace high, won't they? But then, like, on the river, they'll say, oh, but the flush draw missed. And yeah, you almost like keep, like, the small bet keeps in hands like this, and then when you get to the river, you can give them a decision.
Yeah.
Whereas if I bet big on the turn, then it's easier on the turn, they just get away.
Yeah, and when you do call on the turn, they're going to maybe have some stronger hands too.
Yeah. It's why I like going small and big turn river is quite good. Because on the turn, betting a small size and they call, you're like almost capping them in a way.
So if you were in his shoes and you had King X, would you take his line ever or not? Or would you just go bet?
So small, I'd probably do something similar to that. I think I just bet the turn, to be honest. Actually,
I think this is where you can like.
I think checking might be quite nice.
Against passive players, you just keep betting because they're never going to bluff.
Yeah.
But against regs, I think it's nice, especially regs that give you a hard time. It's nice to sometimes just.
It's a nice check.
Throw a trap in there and just wait for the river to.
Because they might have like 8-9 of spades or whatever.
They'll have all kinds of random floats because regs just don't fold. Regs call more than fucking fish a lot of times these days.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like regs are just going to float this flop a lot, and then just again certain regs on Sky I can think of who I would always bet this flop and then always check to on the turn and expect them just to go bet with almost their entire range.
Yeah.
But you need to know your players really well to do that. You can't do it in this pool when you don't know anybody.
Yeah, so fast forward. There's only 2 minutes left. Oh, I'll play this hand horrendously as well. It's only like a quick mistake and then we get put down on the flop.
I really like a check raise here, just with all the backdoor stuff.
You really do like one?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Maybe I do it too often.
So basically, I just think this is maybe a bit too far. Like we have like 7, 8, 6, X, maybe even like ace high backdoor, like ace suited to the diamond, heart, and spade. So basically, what I wanted to do with this hand is it's a good turn if he does just call. But what I wanted to do is put it in the solver, and like the solver basically said like, oh, you just fold the flop.
Really?
And I was like, I'll try and be smart here. I like change the strategy of the imposition so they bet 100%. C bet, and then surely we raise, and then I can like show Reg, oh, here's what happens if he bets normally. Here's what happens if he bets 100%, and like this is obviously a raise. And then it just folded anyway.
Really? Fucking hell.
So I was like, just been put down there.
When he raised the flop, I'd have been sorely tempted to fucking raise him back again. Because I'm like, what really 3-bets that flop? And I know in these games, it's just really strong hands almost all of the fucking time.
Yeah.
But really, should he be having many 3-bets on this Queen 5-4 rainbow?
No.
This whenever I see something, I'm like, you really aren't allowed to do this. That's when my spew gene kicks in because he just shouldn't be having any raises here, any 3-bets on this flop, in my opinion. It'd be interesting to see, like, I know you can't do it now, but if there are any hands that Solver would want a 3-bet here, but I can't imagine they would. So when I see people doing things that they're just not allowed to do, I spew, and then they just always turn up with like top set or something.
I wouldn't be surprised
like that.
if they I wouldn't be surprised if they just flattered everything.
Yeah, I think it's a standard play. That's why I'd be really tempted to, and I wouldn't have to go up. I'd be really tempted to spew me fucking ring up here and just go to like, I don't know, 34 blinds, and then when he shipped it on me, I'd just be like, yeah, prick. And I'd convince myself
Just call off.
I'd convince myself he was shitter than me, and I'd just be like really, really salty for a couple of minutes. But when I see things that shouldn't really happen, I just tend to be like, yeah.
Just call off with a 9 high.
No, I wouldn't have called off. I'd have, like I said,
no, you got to finish off, mate. Like, once you're committed, you got to.
No, well, I would. I'd just shove the turn. I'd have just fucking absolutely shoved the fuck out of it. Well, I wouldn't shove a brick turn, but if any turn, if it was like it
was an 8,
like a 3 or an 8 or a 6 or a heart, then basically any card that improved me so I could actually make a strong hand, I'd just shut my eyes and shove and then give him the rest of my chips. Because it's definitely be calling, but never mind. But yeah, I would just 3-bet here. 4-bet here a bit, because he just shouldn't be doing this, but they do, and they're just going to have strong hands a lot. But I do tend to spew in spots like this where probably I shouldn't. But it's exciting when it works. It
is. Oh, when it works, you feel like an absolute god, yeah.
I like doing.
I don't think it's a terrible raise, to be fair, even though the solver doesn't like it.
No, I don't. To me, it's completely fucking standard. We got backdoor everything, and it's a pretty uncoordinated flop. So I presumed it'd be a good race spot.
I thought, I was shocked when it didn't do it.
But Solver just literally had 2 backdoor draws and just check folded for like 1/3.
Yeah,
I'm doing an awful lot of stuff I shouldn't be doing.
I usually goes the other way though. Usually it does proper aggressive stuff, but yeah. So with that, if that was 50 and below, I'd 3-bet that.
What, you 3-bet the Jack 9 at the big blind?
Yeah, if the random number generator was like 50 or below.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant if you were playing 50 or below. Sorry.
No, it's like if it's weird because most people have like high numbers for aggressive, but for some reason I do it the opposite way. Here I don't hate betting. I don't know what I do. I can't remember. As you can tell, so you can just tell by the way my mouse is going over the different buttons. I just have no idea what to do.
Yeah, I think we want to bet though, don't we? Our hand could use some protection. Now you just handcuffed into check call and then checking the river.
Yeah.
Although it is a particularly nice river.
Yeah, I just think it's way too passive in general. Obviously, it would have been a bit of a dumb scenario. I thought I'd throw this one in here as well for a bit of banter.
Yeah, what a fucking surprise. Two nits at the top of the range and all the money goes in. This is all these games are, in my opinion. It's literally people arsing around a little bit, but then when all the money goes in, neither person's arsing around.
Yeah, when the money goes in, it is usually not ideal. But yeah, anyway, that's it.
There we go. I've enjoyed that. 1 hour 27 minutes has fucking flown by. Thank you very much for that.
Wait, 22, mate. Don't worry.
And I didn't make a complete cunt of myself either. I don't think.
You didn't. I genuinely think I didn't play well at all in that session. But I thought it was good. It's basically a nice way of studying in a way. Talking to someone else and.
If I'm your study partner and you're playing 100 now, you need to network more. That's all I can fucking say, sir.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, I do have a couple more hands on the solver, but I feel like that we're fine without that.
Yeah, I don't think my viewers are that particularly. Yeah. Most of my viewers are a bit like me, middle-aged old nits who just want some really basic fucking content, and that's why I'm never going to be a YouTube superstar. I'm never going to be an influencer, but I've got my core audience, and if we did a full solver, I guarantee they'd be like, yeah, whatever, Reg, fuck off, mate. Not interested.
A solver special.
All they want to see is me stacking nits and slagging off fucking fish and farting. That's all people want. If we can get all that in one video, I've actually muted a couple of farts today out of respect to you. But that's all my viewers want, and I'm reasonable at delivering that. But no, it is good for me to come on like that. The video I did a couple of weeks ago with Tim, I enjoyed that too. Talking to people. I mean, Tim, we've since chatted since, and he's not well studied at all. He just plays on instinct and what have you. But you are, I know you're well studied, so it's always interesting for me to just say things and figure out exactly how stupid they are. And some things turned out they weren't that stupid, and some things turned out that maybe they were a little bit.
Mate, you would have played perfectly.
Well, like I can say, I have got my inbuilt solver based on 18 years of complete fucking nittery. But yeah, no, thank you very much for that, mate. I really appreciate you doing it.
Enjoyed it. It's good. It's just good to talk to people.
Certainly is, and that's what I would recommend to like anyone who just watch my channel who doesn't have many poker contacts. Just get in some fucking Discords. You know, don't get in really shit house ones, but join a few. Figure out which ones are actually okay and which ones are just reg slagging each other off and fucking bitching all the time, and just like find people to who will like review hands with you and you review hands with them, and just build your network of contacts. Because if you just try to do poker on your own, it's fucking lonely. It's a struggle,
it is,
and you're not going to improve as quick as you are if you've got a network of people you trust to do it with.
Well, speaking of which, mate, if it's all right, like, do you have that Sky Discord?
I thought I'd already given you the link to that, hadn't I?
I don't think you have.
No. Oh, I'll tell you what, mate. As soon as we're finished, I'll send it to you. I thought I had, because I remember telling people that you were going to be joining, and I guess I just didn't give you the link because people were looking forward to it because a few remembered you, and you know, they were like, "Oh, wouldn't it be good when he joins?" And then I never sent you the link because I'm a fucking forgetful prick.
A false dawn.
Mate, you will have that link within 1 minute of me hanging up on this call. You will have that link.
Perfect.
Magic. Mate. Well, thanks very much for that, mate. Really appreciate it.
We enjoyed it, mate. We'll do this again at some point. Yeah?
Excellent.